Right, you'll see that I've popped up a little link for you all at the start, and you'll see it's the civilserviceworld.com, right? If you open it, it'll take you to an article written
the civilserviceworld.com, right?
If you open it, it'll take you to an article written the civilserviceworld.com, right?
David, shut YouTube off.
Open it, it'll take you to
volume off on YouTube. Mute it.
Sorry, guys. Couldn't find the blooming off button on the sound. It'll take you to an article in Civil Service World, and it's the article that was released of an award ceremony for the UK Treasury in November 2014. They had become a working part of Better Together. They obviously rejected that idea in the run-up to the 2014 referendum, but afterwards they had this award ceremony. Now, I did a Black Banner campaign over the weekend where I was asking all sorts of questions and asked if the UK Treasury would like to come clean and admit that GERS was just a figment of their imagination and a work of creative accounting. And everybody was saying, no way they would do that. And I said, well, look at this. They did admit to becoming a part of Better Together. Read the article, be astounded, but more importantly, share it to your friends. It's really important that we keep wee snippets like this alive and going, because someday it'll be removed from the web.
Okay, let's say hello to a few people. Hi, James Connolly. Hi, Sci TV Tam. Hi, Stevie Kenny. Dylan. Eddie. Hey, here we go. Vince. Hey, Wolf Pet. Ginger Giraffes. Struthers. Rebecca. Mark. Chris. Robert. Indy Scott. Brian. Wee Bird. Lorraine Hay. Mark Telfer.
Murder She Wrote's on.
Tell you it's her sister, you bampot. Hi, Fiona. Hi, Stuart. Hi, Chris.
Don't be embarrassed.
Hi, Melanie, you're the first to the Facebook through the day. And hi, Stephen Kelly. Figures are going up nicely, David. We'll be there in a second. Hi, Chris. Hey, let's get there. Hi, Jane. Harry. Hi, Akis. Hey, Hugh. Catherine. Class Action. Sunshine McGoldrick. Pleased to meet you there, Sunshine. What do you win, Melanie? You've already won. You're my pal. Hey. Right, hey, we're up at our 100 mark. So, right, as usual, we'll split the show into two sides. We'll get first couple of items around the madness that's going on down that bloody road. And then we'll move on to some of the stories that are being circulated here in Scotland. Okay, right, so David, number one on the list today, Nadine Dorris finally resigns.
Yep.
And she didn't half of a go at Rishi Sunak the way out the door, does she know?
Yeah, well, the Tories had another loss further north in the by-elections that took place a few weeks ago. But this one, Nadine Dorris commands, her seat commands a majority of 24,664. Now, I don't know whether they'll manage to get another Tory in there. I would think it's maybe after Nadine Dorris has basically done nothing for the seat. I don't know whether they'll keep it.
And Anne at the end of the two cafes asked me to tell people that the cafe will not be set up at the march on Saturday. But we'll get to that towards the end of the programme. Okay. Anyway, so Mad Nads, she gives a go at Sunak, and he says he's no mandate. He's not following the mandate that they got in 2019, and that he is in charge of a zombie government.
Yeah.
But right, actually.
Yeah.
You know, it's not very often you can say that Mad Nadine Dorris is right about anything. But
yeah, well, she actually gave a few quotes to the Mail article that was coming. She said, history won't regard them with much pleasure in the future. So yeah.
Let's look back at the last 13 years and they'll say, wow, how did we get a population stupid enough to vote for these people?
Yeah, I know.
You know, but that's just the way it goes, David. You know, and the other wee bit of happening news that came out in the last couple of days is there's been a bit of polling done in Jacob Rees-Mogg's constituency, and it looks like the haunted fence is about to get his air spouted right out of Parliament. But that's not actually going to happen, as we know, because Moggie's just been promoted to the House of Lords, so he'll just take up a seat in the Lords, which is very belongs amongst all the ghosts, drunks, and has-beens, you know.
Yeah. But Nadine didn't get a shot, did she?
Oh, listen, she should never have been an MP in the first place. She's not bright enough, so to have her in the Lords, well, you know.
I've said it once, I'll say it again. Super Tanks Girl's woman quote was, if she was any thicker, she'd sit. I think that is
brilliant, I know. I've seen her bit the other day, her bit when it was announced. She put another video on YouTube. I've subscribed to her channel, so I have seen it. It was funny. You know, I love the way she says dystopia alert, right? Anyway, talk about dystopia alerts. Braverman gets roasted on press calls on Sunday as he tries to call out Labour's non-existent immigration policy. Anyway, the Sky presenter, I can't remember her name, is it Sophie Ridgely?
Aye, yes.
Mad Braverman says about the Labour's immigration policy, and Sophie Ridgely pulls her up and goes, "What? You're having a joke? The bloody mess we're in, and you're trying to blame somebody that's not in power? Oh, Jesus Christ. Mental."
No, I thought she was a wee Tory. She came across as a wee Tory, right? But she's obviously got either a soul, which is unusual for a Tory, or she's maybe a batting for the other side.
No, it's none of these things. We're in a transition period. You know that the Tories are on their way out. We're in a transition period. The civil service will be running about like headless chickens right now as well, David, trying to get ready for what's coming in. Fortunately for them, as we'll get to in a wee second,
picture that just put in my head. All these civil service people dressed as chickens running about the office going, don't worry, it's all right, we're only
But we don't have anything to worry about as we're about to move on to. Because the next of the stories for doing that road has people asking what Labour's for.
Yeah.
As Rachel Reeves, ex-Bank of England employee and Shadow Chancellor, tells us that Labour won't, one, introduce a wealth tax. Two, won't introduce a mansion tax. Three, there'll be no income tax rises.
Oh, well, that's all right.
No, you know fine well why it's no, but we'll get to that when we break this down, all right? And four, no capital gains tax rises either. Okay, so let's go through this. They won't introduce a wealth tax. That's the whole fucking purpose of Labour. Supposed to be redistribution of wealth from the top to the bottom.
They're trying to take a leaf out of President Bush's book. He sat there in front of TV cameras and said, no new taxes. And that's basically what Labour are doing. It is the one-liner soundbite to guarantee gaining votes from people that don't know whether it's New York or New Year.
What I'm saying is, but what they're actually fishing for is Tory voters, of course. But so let's get through them. No wealth tax. But we actually need a wealth tax because if wealth isn't making money and it's just stacking up in bank accounts, that's an inflationary pressure. And in
actual fact, it's worse than that. It's not as if it's getting stacked up in bank accounts here. It's getting stacked up in bank accounts somewhere else. Panama or the British Virgin Islands or Jersey or whatever, right?
Right. So anyway, so no tax on the wealthiest. Now, here's an interesting fact, right? The richest 33 people in the UK had more money than 33% of the rest of the population. 33 people had more money than 33% of the population. We need a bloody wealth tax! Right. They're not wanting to introduce a mansion tax. Now, this one really made me giggle, David, and you know why it made me giggle? Because Labour and the Tory up here, I went to Cosler and asked Cosler to get for the Scottish Government to give them permission to put up a council tax in the highest 4 bands, E, F, G and H.
Yeah.
Right? But they want to introduce it here in Scotland, but the same party don't want to introduce it in England.
Yeah, I know.
Now, what did they class as a mansion doing that road, David?
Well, in actual fact, it's like if you take in London, the average house can command 6 figures. So a mansion is way above that, right?
Anything of the value of 2 million or more.
Here in Scotland, you can buy a tune with other people for $1 million. So there you go.
Anyway, what they call a mansion doing that road is properties valued more than 2 million quid. You know, because as you said, as we spoke about prior to the programme, you want a decent property doing that road, you need 750 grand. You know?
Yeah.
So this one made me laugh because up here, Tory and Labour are thanks Dylan, that's very generous of you. Tory and Labour, I went to Cosler, asked Cosler to ask the Scottish Government to give them permission to up bands E to bands E to H.
Yeah.
But at the same time doing that road, their high command is giving it, no, we won't be introducing a mansion tax. All right, so no income tax rises. That's good for the wealthy. Who's it no good for, David?
Well, the people it's no good for is the people right at the very bottom of that ladder. The people that rely on services, public services, coming out the way to protect them. People that rely on, the benefits money or whatever, because they might be in a job, but they might get that topped up with money from the government to make it into some kind of a livable wage.
As we know, we need income tax rises in the higher bands. We do that here in Scotland. We've got 5 bands, but in England they've only got 3. So the wealth is the burden is better distributed here. But the interesting thing about no income tax rises for the people in the lowest bands is every time they get a pay rise now, they get worse off.
Yeah.
Because even though the starting amount that they're paying it doesn't change, well, every time we get a rise, it takes them out of the starting amount. So if you're on £12,600 a year or less, you're outside tax.
Yeah.
But with the way the minimum wage is moving up, the way wages are moving up, nobody's below that anymore. That was the con that was played by Jeremy Hunt.
Yeah. Just
freeze it there and watch the people who get paid the less contribute more because they were paying more tax than those who are actually at the top.
As a proportion. That's right.
As a proportionate share. So, we know income tax rises. Well, we need income tax rises on the richest. We need to tax the richest so we can fund public services properly.
Yeah.
So, I don't see what the point here is. I don't see what Labour's trying to achieve. How do you fix public services and make the economy grow if you don't tax the richest to be able to invest in the economy?
Yeah.
And people will remember as well that government finance isn't like a household finance. When the government wants money for anything, they pick up the phone to the Bank of England, give them a number and say, print it for me. Now, how it should work is the Bank of England prints it, goes into circulation, and then they tax it back, and that's what keeps inflationary pressures up.
David, let's say we had, you and I had the political impetus to give every person of working age £10,000, right? Okay. So what happens is you give £10,000 to wee Mrs. McGlumfer up the road, right? She's going to have a great time. She's got a new suite, new carpet, new curtains, right? And all the rest of it, right? So, and she goes out and spends it into the local economy, right? However, Lord Rumpelmum down the road, he's given £10,000. What does he do with it? He goes, oh, right, okay. So he'll spend it on maybe shares on such and such, or he'll move it into his account in the Cayman Islands, or whatever, and that's the whole problem with it. If you do not control where that money is going, and what it's going to get used for, and that's it. And
Well,
that's
the thing
why.
is this, if they stack it up in offshore accounts and the capital's not actually working, you can't tax the capital. It's not been invested in the economy. It's not creating jobs. In fact, it's a waste. And and every time we have to print more money because they're holding money, that's an inflationary pressure.
Yeah. Okay. So therefore, we're both in absolute agreement where a tax on the rich is straightforward.
Yep.
It is a progressive tax system that puts more weighting on those who can afford to give more into the economy.
And that's why we have 5 bans here in Scotland, and nobody complains about it because those with broad shoulders realise the benefits they get with no tuition. This is they talk about put tax up and the richest and they'll flee Scotland. Will they?
It's actually.
Wait a minute, David, let's get through why they won't. Their kids have got free travel from 12 to 23 on the public transport. The kids don't pay for dentistry, don't pay for eye tests, don't pay for prescriptions. Free university tuition fees. There's 40, we do 4-year degrees here. At $9 grand, that would be 36 grand in that road. You know, the tax level's not going to go up to the point where we're taxing an extra 36 plus or 50 grand a year, where they're willing to give up all the benefits they have for living here and the social contract they get for living here. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's nobody, and that's why our 5-band tax system up here works better, is more progressive, and nobody complains because those who have the broadest shoulders realise that they're getting good public services in exchange for their money.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for that. I haven't been watching for any other.
I think it's only Dylan so far.
Yeah, it is Dylan, isn't it? Dylan King. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you, Dylan. So basically, the Labour Party are telling the civil service, calm it down, we're not going to make any major changes. You know? So we're getting continuity government, but what's going on in the press right now and what's going on right across the board is they're preparing for a change of management, basically. Even though that change of management is not going to change policy whatsoever, as Rachel Reeves makes clear to us once again. All right. So let's move on. Sunak caught up in another scandal to benefit his family. Now this goes to the trade deal they're trying to hammer out with India, David. Yeah. As a big part of that trade deal, they're going to put into place visas specifically for those in the tech industry. Now, whose father-in-law owns a big tech company?
Let me think.
Aye, that's right. Short Art Sunak.
Yep.
His father. So basically, the trade deal's actually been set up to benefit his family. His family firm, sorry. Now, but Sunak also...
The Sunak dynasty, as I'm going to call it, and it should be called now, has to come to an end. But the only way that we can get that to come to an end is via a general election, a referendum, obviously the Scottish side of it, right? And they're at it. And they have been at it for a while now.
Oh, it's insider trading, as we know. And as we know, Sunak last week was also found guilty of inadvertently breaking the ministerial code over failing to declare wife's interest in Treasury scheme for childcare. For those who are not aware of this, Sunak, Daily Blasé put a video up about this actually. I haven't seen Daily Blasé on the trade today, but Daily Blasé put up a video on this one where Sunak was in front of the select committee and failed to declare that his wife was one of the 6 companies who were bartered into the Treasury scheme for hiring childcare professionals. If you signed with Sunak's wife's agency and became a childcare professional, you get a £1,200 bonus for the Treasury. If you just joined the childcare profession after you back, you only get £600. So basically, the Treasury put in place a policy which would benefit Sunak and Sunak's wife and 5 other employment agencies. Talk about dirty, talk about insider trading, talk about absolutely scandalous. And then, of course, we know about the 100 licences for the North Sea. A couple of weeks after Sunak's father-in-law signs a big deal with BP, What the press seemed to have missed in that one was Sunak's father-in-law also has a big contract with Shell.
Yeah.
So,
These people should be run out of office. Simple as that. But it's not going to happen. And the only way to make it happen is if you're in Scotland, get Scottish independence. And that means if you're an Alba supporter, if you are a socialist, whatever, right, hold your nose and tick the SNP box.
Aye.
When it comes to the next general election, which is going to be run as a plebiscite.
But I mean, this is insider trading, and they're not even fucking hiding it now.
Yeah, I know.
You know, they're on their way out. They know they're on their way out, and they're stealing on the way out. It's a bit like they've doubled the amount of money that MPs who lose their seat or who stand down are going to get for 2 months severance pay, to 4 months severance pay, plus the normal expenses for that 4 months. It gives them 4 months to wind up their offices. This is because the Tories know that they're getting booted out of office, so they're just helping themselves to the public purse on the way out the fucking door. But in order to stop it look like that, they're going to give the money to everybody on the way out the door, and they're blaming it on some sort of independent peer review body.
I used to like watching the old black and white movies where Al Capone was in charge of New York City and all the rest of it. He became the mayor and all the rest of it, right? Okay. And he wasn't hiding anything. He was in a situation where he could get away with anything. Eventually, they got him on tax evasion, would you believe, right? That's right? So that's Rishi Sunak over the back. That's it. Al Capone.
Naughty step. Don't burn your arse in the candle. Right. Anyway, so we're going to leave the madness of doing that road now, because we could talk about it all day, and we're going to come up a road to the stupidest story I've seen in a long, long time. This is the stupidest story. David, you got that picture ready to put up on this headline?
I'll get it up for you. Hang on a second. I'll just go looking.
Wait, honesty, Christ, folks.
Keep talking. I'll get there.
Right.
Anyway, there it is there. Right.
Right, stick it up, because that way we'll get the headline up and all, you know. But really only want you to see the picture, then we'll get into the story for you, alright?
The fuck is it? There we are. It's that one. Right. Okay, you may proceed to put it up.
Right.
Do you see the picture? Do you all see the picture of the forensic tent in front of Nicola Sturgeon's house? Right, David, carry on, tell the story.
Okay. The Record on Sunday's website and the Sunday Mail, the sister paper here in Scotland, runs a story saying that the SNP accused of selling seats to the highest bidder. Now, apparently, some bottom down that road in Manchester, where the SNP's new accountants are apparently, have reported the SNP to police in Manchester, claiming that it looks like they may well have been giving Westminster seats to those who donated the most to the party. It would appear that fucking idiot in Manchester over there doesn't know how these things work. No, you and I have taken place.
David, see if I run for being a councillor somewhere, and I gave 100 quid to the SNP a few weeks ago. Does that mean
That means you vote that council. That means you vote that selection spot. Aye.
Well, nobody else has got anything to say about that. No.
We all donate to the bloody SNP, but how it works through the SNP, because it's a Democratic Party, unlike the Tories where you can buy candidacy. In the SNP, what happens is they look for candidates. You go forward for betting. Mm-hmm. 3 are selected for each constituency. You then have hustings, 2 or 3, depending on when they put themselves forward. You then have hustings where these people appear before the members, and the members select who then goes forward as a candidate for an election. Know the amount of money you've got in your pocket. And they suggesting that somebody's running about branches holding out £20 notes. Now, what they're claiming is money that they can't trace to anything other than raffles and events, which is how the branches raise their money, and some of that money goes to central office. They're claiming the money that they're getting through donations is to buy seats, apparently. So let's say I've got 250 grand to spare and I pop a link to Airdrie and I say to the branch there, I'm going to give 250 grand to the branch, or 50 grand to the branch, 200 to the party. Make sure I get the next slot coming up to be elected, will you? I know the branch is going to tell me, the bitch, I'm going to buy all my heat.
I think you're bum at a windy as well.
Right, they'll take the money, but they're still not going to say you're going to have to go through the competition the same as anybody else. Spanner. You know, this is a non story. Anyway, apparently, some bot in the Manchester Post took it seriously and has handed it up to Police Scotland for assessment. Police Scotland have confirmed that a complaint was made in Manchester that the SNP have been selling seats. So they said they will assess the claim based on the information that's been handed to them.
But here's the rub, David. Here's the rub, right? So this is a Daily Record, right?
Daily Record, the Sunday Mail, I assist the paper.
Yeah, can you put back up the image that's sitting in the side stage, please?
Yes.
So what's that got to do with buying seats?
Nothing. It's just another image to make it look as if the SNP's corrupt. And the SNP needs to sue all these fucks when Police Scotland drop these things. Which they will, but they won't drop them until after the general election because the unionists are making hay with this shit.
Yep.
You know.
I really do hope that is the case, that they sue every single one of them.
Now, keyboard warriors, if the comments are open on this in the Daily Record Sunday edition or the Sunday Mail Sunday edition and it's still up, get in there and get them bloody well tell. But it would appear the state has gone all out to kill off the SNP.
Also, have a look at that article that's been put up, Daily Record, the Sunday Mail, right? And take a copy of it, get it onto your own timeline, so that when they actually eventually remove that from the web, you've got some kind of a image or whatever. Yeah.
In fact, I think we'll stick that in the archives. We might want to follow back up.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they're trying to claim, somebody in England's trying to claim the SNP have been selling seats to the highest bidders. It's just a lot of pish. What's happening is Police Scotland's going to have to shut down Operation Branch Flip, or whatever it's called. A investigation into SNP finances, and it's going to have to be done with nobody being charged, and it's going to be dropped. So this is something else to take its place. Well,
it goes with the old Latin saying, doesn't it? Only swarky mali pont, evil be who evil thinks. And it's like down that road, the people think that everything is evil. They don't realise that somewhere in a beautiful country called Scotland, we actually do have a system of a political party that does work and does not allow for things that go on in the Tory party.
I know, but I mean, look at it. We're talking about the SNP sell seats. Labour and Tory have been selling seats for the Lords for years.
Yes.
Anybody heard of a guy called Sir Ledbetter?
Yep.
Russian oligarch who gave the Tory party.
Of Siberia.
Of Siberia. Right, there's another
and his white dog's called Boris.
Right, there's another, by the class action, I like this one, there's another bollocks headlines in here in Scotland today, and that is fears over reforms to the legal system in Scotland. Now, to get into this story, folks, what happened was the Law Society Scotland and the Faculty of Advocates here in Scotland, they've been looking at the fact that there are different organisations for regulating different parts of the legal system, and they're all independent, allegedly, right? So what happened was the Law Society Scotland and the advocates went along to the Scottish Government and asked them to introduce a bill to simplify the regulation of the law, the legal fraternity here in Scotland, right? Now, the Scottish Parliament took on board what they'd asked for, and then they went out. Then they produced this bill, draft bill.
Can I tell you who controls the Scottish judiciary right now?
The Crown.
Right. So that's the Crown, aka the Crown in England.
Yes.
Right. So who do we want to control the judiciary in Scotland?
We'll get to that when I finish this part of the story, right? So they've drafted a draft bill, and it's now at the first stage where the committee, cross-party committee, who brought this bill together and had Shona Robertson, the Justice Minister, present it back to the committee. Some judges and some lawyers here in Scotland went, we don't like that. And we don't like that, but we want that extracted. We don't like that, but we want that extracted. But that's what the committee system's for. Because this bill will never make it before Parliament before it's in proper scrutiny. Right? Now, the whole point of this claim in the newspapers is it's politicising the legal system. Well, actually, it's no. When you get into what the draft bill actually says is the person who would then be in charge of overseeing everybody is the guy who's in charge of the faculty of advocates and who is the highest judge in the land, Lord Calloway, who sits as the president of the 36 High Court, Court of Session judges here in Scotland, right? So basically, the way the bill's drafted, and we'll get to why it's drafted the way it's drafted in a minute, because it's important, David, you were bringing it up. The way the bill's drafted is that all these different bodies that regulate all the different parts of the legal system here in Scotland will answer to the Lord Advocate, to Lord Calloway, basically, in his position as a Chief Justice here in Scotland. Right. Now, the reason why it's been drafted that way, and everything that happens within the legal service, any sanctions that would be taken as legal firms and all that because of dodgy dealings and all that, that will go through the usual stuff. The Law Society of Scotland, that will then be advanced to the Faculty of Advocates, I believe, or is it the other way around? Faculty of Advocates, the Law Society of Scotland, and then it will go and take Lord Calloway and the panel of judges at the Supreme Court to make a decision on, except for when it comes to companies who they have already found guilty, in which case then it will go to the Minister to impose any financial sanction that there's going to be. Right? Now, why is this being drafted this way? Well, basically, it's because at this point in time, as David's pointed out, the Crown is at the head of the judiciary, but we intend to, in an independent Scotland, introduce a constitution. And that constitution will be overseen by the legal fraternity, and basically, it puts the legal fraternity above the politicians.
Yeah, but isn't that the nub of what should have been the Treaty of Union, where the Scottish justice system was a system of its own, as powerful as the English system? Right, it is. However, the Crown Office seemed to hold sway over what goes on regarding the judiciary in Scotland.
And I'll put this up because class action's right. The whole idea of this bill is to stop rogue crowd stamping over new constitution, right? And of course, because we've been moving how things are done, the legal service oversees the constitution and or makes sure the constitution is kept within by the politicians. As I say, and this bill's been drafted this way. Now, it's no perfect, but we're at stage one. We're still in the very first stage. It hasn't even been presented to the Parliament, and it won't until it's made its way through very many committees, and there's been a consultation there's been a public consultation, the way there always is. So anybody with an interest in this, and this includes you, class action, watch out for the public consultation on this one coming up. Go along and read the draft bill. You'll be able to find it on gov.scot. Go read the draft bill if you're interested in how this thing's going to work, and then make a submission to the consultation, the public consultation. Simple as that. But it's not perfect. There are bits that need to be tweaked. There are probably bits that will need to be ripped out before it even makes it in front of Parliament. But what's interesting about that is because of what it will do, we'll find that Alistair Jack will come along with a big Section 35 put all over it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay, it's important to at least have this legislation come through. It's got to be done. It's got to be done as there's a tick in the box, right?
Very generous of you.
Thank you, Christina. But the thing is, if you imagine at some point we become independent, we're going to have a Bill of Rights written, right? We're going to have a constitution. Let's say the constitution had an element in it that said we're going to have a sovereign wealth fund. We could have had what we've got, and it's worth over $1 trillion US at the moment, right? We're going to have a sovereign wealth fund. What we're going to put in that is all our savings from renewables and all the rest of it, right? Now, we need to have that in our constitution. The reason we've got to have it in our constitution is because we could have a politician in the future that wants to use that sovereign wealth fund to buy votes by using it up, by spending it on whatever, right? So therefore, that needs to be in the constitution, that all they can do is maybe spend perhaps the interest in 1 year, and that's it. We do need the judiciary to be in control of that. Simple as that.
Right, the next story is going to do with an NHS bad story that came out in Edinburgh last year, about a year and a half ago, when Humza was the health minister. Apparently, some kids who are in Edinburgh get misdiagnosed with hearing problems. Why no?
I couldn't help it.
So at the time, there was a Stussy, and we're talking about how poor Scottish audiology services were. So Humza said, "Are they poor, are they? Right then, let's get to one of the deaf charities, and we'll commission them to do a report into it." Right. So they commissioned them to do a report into it, and now the report's being submitted to the Scottish Parliament, and there's 50 recommendations in improving audiology services here in Scotland. So were the services that poor? Well, if there's 50 recommendations on how to improve them, maybe.
You can improve anything, you know.
Of course you could.
Yeah, so, but here's the rub. My wife's a health visitor, right?
Yep.
And I asked her about this, because I'm hard of hearing, and I said, how do you pick up on if a child is maybe hard of hearing or whatever? She said, well, it's a very, very practical test. You sit behind the baby, sat on the mother's knee or whatever, right? And we go, and if they see a reaction, the only way that child could have had that reaction was if it heard that the clap, right?
Well, apparently what's happening is health visitors at the Edinburgh.
Well, you let me finish, right? It doesn't tell them how good the hearing is or how bad the hearing is, but at least it gives them just a beginning, a start. Now, if later on the kid goes to school and is not picking up things, then perhaps they're sent to an audiology department and get a test to see how good the hearing is, right?
Well, anyway, part of these tests were a child specific, if you like. And what happened was there was some kids in Edinburgh who had been misdiagnosed, because with young children, young babies especially, it's very difficult to be able to measure where they're at. Yeah. Anyway, so the Deaf Society for Children here in Scotland have submitted their findings, and it's expected the Scottish Government will accept all 50 findings. Where they're going to get the money to improve the services is always a question. It always comes down to money.
Independence, guys. You want money? You want to spend money? You want to see money spent on Scotland? We need independence instead of giving it all to our next door neighbour.
Right, that's one of that cracker, isn't it? Hey, they talk about fucking waste in public spending, right? Scottish Government to block portraits of big ears in all Scottish schools and public buildings. Yeah. Now, apparently, Westminster want to spend millions to put portraits of big ears in every public building in Scotland.
So what we're going to have is the American model, which is you go in the door, there'll be a Union Jack, right? And there'll be a picture of King Big Ears, right?
Oh, you sing God Save the King.
God Save the King. That's it. Yeah, you heard it, right? I'll make loads of money because I'll get to put PA systems into all the schools again, right? So they can do that, you know. Right, children, now we will all sing God Save the King, you know.
But Westminster Family Treasury's paying for a Scottish bill. But what's interesting in this, they've tried this push before the Scottish Government stepped in and put a stop to it. For the Queen's Jubilee, mind your wee book every child was to have.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and the Scottish Government went, no, you fucking don't. The Welsh Government went, no, you fucking don't. So the only kids that go to it were English. There'll be a few kids here in Scotland going because head teachers are let them have it. You know, but most of them would have went home and straight into the shredder or into the bin or into the recycle bin, you know. But it's not the first time the Scottish Government had to step in and say, no, you're not doing that. You're not indoctrinating our children into your state.
Even if the Scottish Government are overruled on this, right, I would expect there's a few parents here that are looking in. May I suggest that if you go to your school and you do happen to see in the front reception a picture of King Big Ears and a Union Jack, can you do whatever's necessary, blooming remove them from the wall and find the nearest skip to shove them into?
All right. Actually, most head teachers here would get the kids to go and paint wee pictures and put a little fucking air it so you can't see it.
That's anything like that. That's good. That's cool. But if I'm getting called in to put a PA system in to each of the classrooms, don't get involved in that. I'll do that quite happily, but I'll make sure I've got the on-off switch here. Anyway, that's a right. What's next?
Hey, hold on a minute. I'll address this one for the Eddie Quick, and he's asking what about the windfall tax on energy companies that live or were mouths about. Listen, there's already a windfall tax on energy companies. The way run it is they just invest.
If they buy a hammer for B&Q, that comes directly off what they've got to pay in windfall tax. I know that. You know.
Class action's part of an interesting point. My primary school had 2 Union Jacks and a large painting of the Queen. I don't know if I would get away with that in mine. In the primary school I attended, I don't think they get away with that. But, you know, way it goes. But once again, the Scottish Government would step in and tell me to go and sling a hook.
Yeah.
You know, and basically it's no you're not indoctrinating our children. You know, you're not forcing them to worship this bloody thing. You know.
He's not very worshipful, is he? You actually look at him and you go, he's a spoilt child. That's what Big Ears is, right?
He's worse than that.
Yeah.
You know, he's been wrapped in a cotton wool all his life. He hasn't got a Scooby. He's the head of a criminal cabal. He's surrounded with paedophiles and all sorts.
Yeah.
Wow. Right, next one up. Scottish Government to work with local authorities in Greater Glasgow and Clyde as key policy a transfer from central government to local authorities for regeneration programmes.
And I read that out as well. That's the longest thing. You actually read that out to me, and I had to write that out longhand. Right, everybody, grab a pen and paper and write this. Scottish Government to work with local authorities in Greater Glasgow and Clyde as key policy transfer to local authorities of regeneration projects. Right, now explain it.
Right, one specific, Erin and Shannon, they've been putting together that innovation hub for industry and manufacturing. Right, so Erin and Shannon, the place is built now. The central government's done its bit. It's up. Now they're on the local authorities and the education centre and industry to get the bloody thing functioning. So what the Scottish Government are going to do is they're going to work with the local government in Glasgow and in Inverclyde to try and help them get this place up and running properly now that it's been built, because once it was built, it was to be handed over to the local authorities, the education sector and industry.
Yeah.
So
David,
now they've got it.
Yeah, as I said to you, I've got a personal interest in this. Yeah, I've got a company. I'm getting the age where I should be going. I'm hanging up my blooming screwdrivers, right? And I've got a company that I've said to my kids, like, here, get on, run it. And they're not interested. So therefore, I've got all this skill and knowledge, and I've got letters off my name and all the rest of it for doing sound and audio and acoustics and all the rest of it, right? And I want to pass that on. So this is maybe a perfect opportunity for me to contact the local authority and say, look, I have this particular skill, knowledge, all the rest of it, and I would like to become involved as a specialist engineer to train and educate people that are interested.
Well, they do have a reception centre over there at Inchinnan. Why don't you jump on a bridge
I
and
think
drive
so.
around and have a look and
Yeah.
have a chat with them? Because they are now that the place is built, they're going to have to get it up and running. And the sectors that will be involved in running it will be industry and education, you know, and local authorities, which will bring all these things together apparently. So that's a good news story. The Innovation Centre earlier in Inchinnan is up and running and being
Really is. That's fantastic. That begats your engineers of the future. That begats the people that work on blooming spaceports in the future. That begats everything going forward.
It's a manufacturing and innovation centre.
Yeah.
You know, and they all need guys like you, David.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe you should have a chat with them.
Yeah, maybe I should. All right.
The next one's interesting. Pete Wishart takes aim at a Labour Party for its Scottish slogan, "The Change Scotland Needs."
Yes.
And what Pete Wishart was saying in his article was, when they talk about the change Scotland needs, he says it should be the change we say Scotland needs, because it's all been dictated to the Labour Party here in Scotland from London.
Oh dear, I thought that's. See, when I saw that slogan behind Starmer, I just thought, bloody hell, the change Scotland needs is not to see you ever again, or Starmer, or Bailey. What are you reading, David?
I don't know. For some reason, that the comment on the windfall tax and the energy companies has been pinned. I don't know how I did it.
Right, okay.
So Pete's taking a pish because he knows there isn't any change coming for Scotland. We spoke about it in the English side, the Westminster side of the programme. Labour are proposing nothing different to what we've already got as continuity government. So the change that Scotland needs is whatever Westminster tells us is the change that Scotland needs. That's Labour's slogan. One brain cell Bailey must have come up with that fucking one.
Yeah.
Yo, jeez, oh.
I mean, this also feeds into the blackboard campaign that I was doing over the weekend about we now know that Scottish Labour doesn't actually exist. It is just a part of London Labour. Do you think they should own up to it? You know.
Aye, but recall all SNP MPs now says Eddie, and who's going to negotiate the divorce, Eddie? If we don't get MPs,
we want to know who's going to get the CD collection.
Aye, and for that you need a couple of bloody MPs to be there.
Yeah, I used to think that was a good idea. Let's get them all out and back to Scotland. But I still need people down there to be able to say, well, I've got the Jamie Rocky CD. I really like that, and we want to keep that, don't we? So there you go. Right?
No, actually, as far as I can tell, Poland says different Labour are no finish in Scotland. Apparently, Dexter, thanks very much for the kind contribution.
Thank you, Dexter. Thank you very much.
So, Labour, the change that Scotland needs. No. If anybody wants to think about what Labour's done for Scotland, let me point you to the Smith Commission.
Oh, aye.
We would tell everything was on the table if we voted no. And when the Smith Commission came along, Labour, Tory and Lib Dem sat there phoning their head offices in London saying, the Scottish people want this, tell the Scottish people to fuck off. And we ended up with the DVSA and road signs, basically.
Yep, and it was the air guns and road signs.
And when Gordon Brown was challenged on this, what did Gordon Brown tell us all? You should have read the fucking small print in the bow.
That's right. What a bloody chancer. He's blooming stood there, strutting about going, you will have.
Evil man.
power such as never seen in the world before, right? A load of shite. Excuse me for blooming speaking French.
So, hey, when Devo Max didn't materialise and Gordon Brown was asked about it, what happened to Devo Max, Devo, Super Devo, Devo Max, Super Devo Max? And Gordon said, you should have read the fucking small print.
I know, fuck's sake, man. Honestly. You couldn't make it up, but he certainly did.
There'll not be listen, the people of Rutherglen and Hamilton West, as soon as this by-election's announced, will fucking know about it, because I'll be marching up and down Rutherglen Main Street and Hamilton Town Centre shouting about it.
Yeah.
You know? But
if you don't mind me saying, the over the coming wee while, right, you'll have Labour doing hustings in various places, right? It would bode every one of you very, very well if you could manage to get to one of those hustings. Just stand up, very, very, in a nice low voice and very respectful and all the rest of it, and just say, when were you going to tell us that Scottish Labour weren't a separate political party? And see how that goes.
Aye. As you know, David, Starmer was up here last week to gee up the activists, because they're not really, the Labour activists in Rutherglen, Hamilton, Rutherglen West, are not really following their weight. And the reason for that is because they've got a candidate that was parachuted in instead of the one that bloody little Anki.
He wanted this guy. No.
This guy. So, of course, when he was trying to gee up the activists up here were threatening to piss at him, asked him what he was going to name it, a two-child cap, the bedroom tax, and he just kept saying nothing, we can't, there's no money. Another man that's trying to peddle the idea that there's no money. The Bank of England is a fucking big printing press. There's plenty of money. Tax the rich to be even fucking there.
Let's put a wee bit meat in the bones on the bones there, right? Once a year, all the banks get a stress test, don't they? You've heard about this. You've all heard about it. If you haven't heard about it, you need to read more, right? They get a stress test. And if they wobble slightly, what happens is the Bank of England produce money, they go into the coffers, and they're not given an invoice for it. They're just there, take that money, right? So if the Bank of England could do that for a bank that doesn't bloody need it.
No, folks, play nice with Quentin. Quentin and I have been sparring with each other for years. He's a really nice guy. Bit off the wall right enough, but he's a nice guy. Right, and David, we've only got a few minutes left, so there's a few things I want to
Kelly's now been removed. All right, there you go.
What did you do that for? Fill back!
All right, I'll put him in timeout. All right, there you go.
Aye, put him in timeout. I've been sparring with Quentin in the main timeline for years. If John the bus driver shows up,
go into the next bit. Come on, hurry up.
If John the bus driver shows up, you can give him the order of the boot. And I had to get rid of that other boy, Clarkson, the 647 or whatever it is, 674, because he was having a debate on the thread where this biggest market crap and how England wouldn't buy to Scotland if we became independent and stuff. And when it was pointed out to him, he's being silly. Then he deteriorated into calling me a racist in an English here. Yeah. I don't hear anybody.
I assure you, 99% of what I do in my company goes to England. Am I worried about Scottish independence? No. The reason they buy off me is because I'm cheaper, smarter and quicker, right, than anybody else. So, therefore, what they're going to do, they're going to go to somebody that's more expensive, not as smart, not as quick. No, they'll keep coming to me. Simple as that. And possibly, if we become back into the European Union, I'll be able to get stuff cheaper than they can. Anyway, right, enough of that story.
Anyway, as I say, I had to get rid of Clarkson 674 because he deteriorated into just calling us all English haters. Yeah. You know, even though there's many people on the thread, give them reasons why.
No, we've all got, a lot of us have got family down there. I certainly have got hundreds of friends down there, and I don't want to lose them. No, I definitely don't want to hate them. They're nice people, you know.
And D-Doc's right. He's got dozens of relatives, the same as the rest is in England, and the argument is bloody stupid.
No, I'll tell you what, the people in Newcastle that I know actually hate me, right? They hate me because I keep on telling the same joke. I say to them, what's a Geordie's favourite TV programme? And they go, don't know. And I say, YI50. And they really, really hate that.
Apparently, the portrait of Charles would need to be a landscaper, perhaps a hay panoramic. It's the accommodated lunch. Get in there. Get in there. Love that comment.
Stop it, please. Stop it. Stop it.
Right, anyway, now this next one's quite serious. Who at the weekend there on Friday on Sandy McCracken and Alexander McCracken, who lives in Coventry, was on his way to Sky for the. Thanks very much, Alistair. Thank you very much for putting that up. To Alexander McCracken, the Yes Biker, was on his way up from Coventry to Sky, and he had an accident there between his bike and a motorhome on the A87. No for Sky actually, unfortunately. And anyway, his partner Sheila said that if he said he wanted to go on his bike, so he'd be happy the way he went out. You know, but
that's so sad.
Anyway, he was transferred on Friday evening to the Sutherland General, or the Queen Elizabeth, whatever you want to call it these days. Where unfortunately lost his life on Sunday night. A sad day for the movement, sad day for the Yes Bikers, and our condolences with Sandy's wife and his son and daughter. You know. So the Yes Bikers will put out a statement to commemorate his loss. All of them with bars put out a statement. Now I've met Sandy myself, so like all of those who are involved in the movement who have passed and haven't seen it come to fruition, well, you stand on the shoulders of giants, just join the queue. There's a few giant shoulders to stand on. They're a man who came for his ride outs all the way from Coventry.
Huh?
That's dedication to the cause for you, you know.
Of course it is.
So it is.
Just to let you know how far it is, right? If I was to get in my car and drive to Coventry, which I did the stadium there, right? That's a 5-hour drive. I straight down the M74 and continues on the M6, and it's at the bottom of the M6 practically when it joins the M1. That's what So that's so.
I've met Sandy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry he's away.
Yeah.
So that's had to be mentioned, David. You know.
I know, man. I know. You know, when we lose somebody like that, it feels like a wee knife in the side. It really does, because these are people that contributed their lives to Scotland's freedom. And one would have hoped that at some time in the future he may have considered to move back. You know, even you know.
As I say, Sandy's lived in Coventry. He was a supporter of Scottish independence. Used to come up and join the Yes Bikers on the ride outs. Yeah, that's what you call dedication. Yes. Right, we've only got a couple of minutes left, David. So there's a couple of events I want to mention. We'll start with this coming, and the Believe in Scotland march for independence and rejoining the EU on Saturday. Johnson Terrace, I think it is. Right. Into Parliament, I'm not sure, but there's plenty of stuff out there on Facebook if you need to know about it. But it's a big one. First Minister's going to be speaking at it. So let's hope for a huge turnout. Yeah, if you go into the Believe in Scotland group, you'll find it no problem. Believe in Scotland they're available in Facebook, and you'll get them easily, and you'll see it. You'll see it as one of the posts. And of course, we'll get the Chain of Freedom coming up on October 14th, folks. Now, the unions have gone all out to try and prevent this from being a successful event. There's even a couple of corner accounts if you try to join the Chain of Freedom. The Chain of Freedom, you're being taken away from the actual site that you should be registering at to other sites. Now, It's no longer the 14th of October, and we really need to get that 77,000 people. So,
is there any way that people could be assured that they're going to get the real chain of freedom, for example?
I don't know that much about it, David.
Yeah, I know. I just feel that there could be a wee simple security check.
There will be, if you go to the Chain of Freedom Facebook page, then you should be able to get a link there that will take you to the correct website to register at.
Are we absolutely certain there's not a couple of Chain of Freedom Facebook pages? One being the real one being a fictitious one.
To be honest with you, it's not really one I've looked into that much.
Okay, just making the comment, just putting it out there. If there's anybody that's into the IT side of it, just go and have a look and see if there's any.
Quentin, you're up a naughty step. Nothing to do with me, mate. Nothing to do with me. I didn't think you a naughty step. Apparently, you were winding up some people in the comments, or they didn't like your opinions. But hey ho, yeah. Quentin, I've never banned you yet for any site that I've been involved in. I'm not about to start now.
I do that.
That's his job. Yeah, you might get 5 minutes in the naughty step with me, but that's as bad as it gets, Quentin. Honestly, I swear to God. It's always been called me
get my gun.
It's always been called me a racist. I might boot you. Anyway, it starts at Johnson Terrace at 13:30, and then it's down to Holyrood, where the First Minister will be giving his opinion on the way forward. So let's make this a big one, folks. Let's make it a successful one, and I'll be there. I look forward to seeing you all there. And Quentin, by the way, your comments are still up. Yeah, it's only you that gets put in the naughty step for 5 minutes. Your comments tight. All right.
Oh, thanks, Dylan. It's another £1.99. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Dylan. That's very important. Indie March.
Every penny counts. Every penny counts. And thank you.
Indie March taking place in Edinburgh. That's right. Starts Johnson Terrace, 1300 March to the Parliament, where there'll be various speakers. You'll be able to find the names of these speakers and what they're going to be speaking about posted on Believe in Scotland's website, and I believe the actor Brian Cox is going to be addressing it as well. So there you go, folks. Now, David, we've reached for hour, sadly.
Oh, no. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
We could talk on for, well, I tell you what, right? I'm going to the final word here, right?
Are you?
Aye. See, Labour have been blooming pulling the wool over the people of Scotland's eyes for blooming years and decades, in fact, right? And what they're doing is, I was talking to a few Labour bods this morning online, and they're trying to blooming cartwheel away from this thing about Labour. There only being a Labour Party, right? And that Scottish Labour don't exist. I tell you what, make sure every chance you get, take them down. Because Labour were the ones that stood there and blooming high-five the Tories in 2014. And I want them taken down. Simple as that.
Oh, let people see you. Hey, Buster. You don't want to let people see you, Buster. Come on. Oh, I'm saying hello to you. Ah, well.
My cat's in the corner going, oh, fuck that.
That's the kennel outside where it belongs, apparently. This is got to do with you and the head-on collider, your head banger. Right, anyway.
I say, you can't say anything now because I have the final word.
Right, Quentin's putting advice up to find the Chain of Freedom, correct website. It says something about use a ZVPN and you should get the right web page. I don't know much about that stuff, David. You know me, I'm not tech savvy.
Also, the link that I put up right back at the start was back there on YouTube, and you'll find that link to do with Civil Service World and the fact that the UK Treasury became part of the Better Together campaign and on the run-up to the 2014 referendum. We need to keep these things under our belts and use them regularly. What the UK government and the UK Treasury have been up to. They had an award ceremony to reward people that had worked so hard against the best wishes of the people of Scotland. How in
anyway, that just leaves one thing left to do.
Bye, Davey.
Bye, Davey. See you guys on Thursday. I'll put a link up so that you can get notification of it.
Bye, guys.
Bye, folks. See you Thursday.